we have a very special guest, a friend and also a colleague, National Religious Broadcasters Vice President of Public Policy and Communications, Noelle Huizenga. I love that last name. It's such a cool name. Anyway, so we're bringing her over to the show. If you guys are tuning in, watching on the YouTube channel, you'll get to interact with us, but also as you were listening to this live segment, we are talking about the brand new article that she put out in Newsmax. It's all about women. And ladies, we have been having very specific conversations in the past couple of weeks about the women vote. So I would love to bring you over to the show and introduce you to Noelle. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Eden, for that kind introduction.
Absolutely. So your Newsmax article, in 2024, America can elect the women's president. Let me say that again. In 2024, America can elect the women's president. Talk to me about the very heart of this article that was run in Newsmax.
Well, absolutely. Thank you, Eden. Well, this piece is a call to action for all women, especially women of faith, because the president who is elected in 2024, the 47th president of the United States, will inherit numerous issues that affect the day-to-day life of the American woman. This person, in fact, in my point of view, has the opportunity to leave a defining legacy as the women's president if they set policy based on a positive vision of who the American woman is.
So there were a couple of things that really stood out to me in this article. I just want to highlight this for the audience as they're listening. And you highlight American women are industrious, they're resilient, and they deserve a thoughtful assessment of their interest. You were saying that they own and operate 40% of all businesses in America. They are looking out for the health and financial well-being of their households. And this includes cost of basic necessities, cost of childcare, and quality education options for their families. One thing I've noticed in talking to a lot of the guests on the show, it is come to a point where moms go to the store, dads go to the store, and they say, okay, I have a necessity to buy diapers versus buying something I want, that book over there or whatever. So you break down that business aspect and really what it's lending to the economy. And I've said to this audience many times, do you want someone in office who's going to put money back on your table and back in your bank accounts, or who's going to take it all away? You know, let me get extreme here. I can say it, but I like how you talk about that point that you brought up in this article.
Well, that's exactly right, Eden. And you touched on those simple day-to-day trade-offs that parents have to think about in America every day. And look, these issues affect women whether they work inside the home, outside the home, or both. Like you said, women own and operate 40% of all businesses in America. But even if they work at home, they look after their family. They are decision makers every single day. A home is like a small business in many ways. And the left has not been an honest dealer when it comes to women's interests. The truth is that there is consensus around some issues that are nonpartisan that are affecting women every day. And the fact that the left has chosen to platform and really make the centerpiece of its platform issues that are divisive, contentious, and very, very challenging, that is directly in opposition to the consensus that says that women's top issue is the economy. It is not abortion. Why is the left doing this? The short answer is that it's a cover for failed policy. Under the Trump administration, women's median income rose year over year. In recent years, we're seeing that families are having to look for an additional $12,500 just to enjoy the same standard of living that they had 3 years ago. That is the American dream in decline. The prices of household goods are skyrocketing. This is universally across age groups. Women are saying this is their number one issue.
Yeah. Well, you know, the financial aspect is one major issue. But the other thing I sit here and say, we both are women of faith. And the people that tune into the show, it is a heavy faith audience, which I'm so thankful for. And one thing I have questions, having run for office, sitting where I do, sitting behind the microphone, but also running my own business. I'm a woman of faith. Why is it you bring up the woman of faith and the vote in this article at Newsmax? And I guess my bigger question, my generalized question is, are women of faith afraid to engage in the public square? Are they afraid to be a part of this monumental time in our history? Is that, you know, and you can, I would love to hear your thoughts on that, but is that a greater rooted issue that we as American Christians and evangelicals need to be talking about?
Well, absolutely. I don't think that we can have a full conversation about women's interests without talking about the role of women of faith in this election. Look, women of faith should be more attentive to the facts and more sensitive to the truth than any other group. And in fact, I think that women of faith are uniquely able to tell the difference between authentic and inauthentic respect for women and, goals that serve women's interests than any other group because Christianity respects, honors, and uplifts women in the example of Jesus Christ. In fact, Christianity over the centuries has been the antidote to cultural beliefs and practices that harm and bring dishonor to women. And I think that it's incumbent on Christian women at this time in history, in this moment, to remember that strong and proud legacy and keep that in mind as they go to the polls and truly act as salt and light, as scripture says.
One thing I have said to this audience is we need to stay prayed up. We need to be engaging in that aspect. We need to be attending church. We need to be sitting in the pews and having these discussions. We need to be opening up our homes to common sense discussions. Those things are the very fundamental foundation of our country is God, country, and family. And the family, which it is the foundation of this nation. And we see that wanting to be stripped away by the left. And I like how you bring that back in. You bring in the Proverbs 31 woman. You bring in the fact that she is a businesswoman and that she is engaging in the public square. And you think about all the women who have gone before us, both in our nation's history and our biblical history, and how they have set that example. Are we even living up to that today?
Yeah, well, it's so beautifully said. And you're right. Proverbs 31 does praise this strong and industrious woman who sounds so much like the American woman that we know today. And in fact, it says that she should benefit from the fruits of her labor. She should experience the rewards.
Yeah.
And so I think it's so important whenever we can see those outcomes in policy, that's what we want to work toward. Look, the truth is at this moment in history, it may take a long time to rebuild consensus around policies that truly bear good fruit because the left has lied so much about the issues at stake. In fact, a lot of women, statistically, when you look at recent polling and research, are very confused about what issues are actually on the table in this election. This is the bottom line. The 47th president is going to have the opportunity to implement policies that uplift women and families or policies that undermine women and families. It is incumbent on people of faith and especially women of faith to turn out to the polls as salt and light.
Yeah. Well, with only just days left as we head into election central. And I know so many, you being in the DMV area, us being down here in one of the battleground states and looking around this nation. And, you keep mentioning how the left is continuing to spew out the lies and even seeing the vice president herself on the front lines basically blaspheming faith and people of faith. And, the time is now for we people of faith to stand up for our beliefs. Because if we don't, I don't want to even dare say what could happen if, in fact, that would happen on the election day, that she would be cast as the next president. Would we lose our faith? Would we lose the rights to be able to speak in the public square? All of those things need to be talked about. They need to be talked about in the churches. They need to be talked about in our community groups. They need to be talked about on the soccer fields. And I think people are afraid to because they've been censored for so long. Talk to me a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about national religious broadcasters in the minute we have left. You guys are on the front lines as Christian communicators, wanting to fight against the censorship, wanting to fight against not being afraid to stand up for your faith in the public square. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, absolutely. The National Religious Broadcasters are the leading trade association representing Christian communicators globally and nationwide. And our members are on the front lines. We like to say if you're feeling discouraged or you don't know where to look for truthful, independent analysis, turn on Christian radio, turn on Christian television, listen to Christian communicators. They're on the front lines of defending the truth, advancing the truth in our culture, and really putting out messages of encouragement, hope, as well as a really rich source of independent analysis and insight. That includes the women of Christian broadcasting. They are leading the way every day. I encourage everyone to look at what Christian media is doing, look at how Christian media is covering this election, and look there when you're feeling discouraged by the lies of the mainstream media.
Well said. With that, final 10 seconds, where can we engage with NRB? If there are people tuning in, where they get involved and become members.
To learn all about the NRB, please visit nrb.org. And to catch our latest work, please follow us on X at NRB Association.
Awesome. Noelle Huizenga, thank you so much for joining the All-American Book Club. For all those who are tuning in here and live in our nation's capital, we'll be right back. Stay tuned for our next segment.
Welcome to Talkville, the ultimate Smallville rewatch podcast. So now Clark knows that Lionel knows about his powers. Tom, any memories from this scene?
No, but I saw a missed opportunity in watching it when Lionel puts his hand on Clark at the end and says, "Thank you, son." I wish I would have done something like, "Don't call me son." I just feel like we missed that beat.
What's that, Leslie Nielsen?
Airplane?
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Talkville, wherever you listen. Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out.
Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out.
One Downy and a rinse straight.
Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
You're listening to the All-American Book Club with Eden Gordon-Hill on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining the All-American Book Club. Thanks to Kingstone Studios and Art Heiress and 130 Agency. Thanks to National Religious Broadcasters, Noelle Huizenga, the Vice President of Policy. And also, go to nrb.org. They have brand new articles that just came out in regards to election 2024, the evangelical vote, and women of faith voting. I want you guys to go check those out. They're at Daily Caller Foundation as well, Newsmax, Fox News Opinion. They are all over at nrb.org, their whole website. Go to their media roundup. Just go check them out. And hey, join us in Texas in February. Yes, we're going to be down there. The show is going to be down there. We're going to be down there talking about Christian communication, Christians in the public square, evangelicals. We're going to be talking about being a podcaster, being a radio host, being on TV, artificial intelligence, all of it. So come join us. Go to nrb.org.